The name Ahmed Johnson brings a corny drive-through question to mind. During your career, Jim, what guys, in your opinion, were the most reckless, dangerous workers? Any stories of someone who did something stupid during the territory days that got them in trouble with the boys or office?
Oh my God. And this is topical these days. Tune in the Experience coming up, folks, for more on this. But in the territory days, I mean, guys' tolerance for recklessness was not great because you had to work every night and the twice on Sunday and the TV tapings, and you had all the time. And if you got hurt, you lost your spot. You didn't get paid. So recklessness has ratcheted way up over the last 20 years with all these guys inventing all these fucking stunts that most time they would have got laughed at if they'd have suggested it because they would have thought they'd been joking. Having said that, there was guys that would get reputation as being stiff or care or whatever the fuck, whether it be they always said about Buddy Rogers, he would try to hurt guys on purpose if he got him in the ring in the right position, if he had heat with him or whatever, and he was such a good worker, he could claim that, it was an accident.
And then Carl Gotch got a hold of him.
Well, and there you have it. And generally something like that would fucking happen. It would be resolved. But if a guy was being stiff too often, a lot of times it would be resolved in the ring with somebody that just would be stiff back. Ernie Ladd one time, and he wasn't even mad at fucking Ed Hercules Hernandez. He liked him, but Herc had just got. He was all, for whatever reason, Herc was a little jumpy and just herky jerky and just trying to do shit that Ernie didn't want to do one night. And Ernie just spun him around in the corner. No, I'm sorry, not Herc, but Dr. Death, Steve Williams. I misspoke. And he jerked him in the corner and turned around and put his butt against Doc's fucking stomach, because he was 6'9", and grabbed the top ropes and looked back over his shoulder and said, "We're going to stay right here until you calm down and start listening to me."
I can listen to you do Ernie Ladd all day.
And then suddenly all resistance ceased, and then they slowed down and got where they were going. But I mean, I can't remember anybody off the top of my head. Otherwise, the guy's having words about it in private, and you would hear about it later. And there's a story we've told about fucking Doc going off on Garvin for just whacking him over the head, for just, repeatedly getting heat on us and whacking him over the head with the fucking chair. But that was more the receipt than the fucking recklessness.
You know what I just saw for the first time in a while? Do you remember that clip from '88 where maybe it's Rick Steiner and Rotunda, maybe against Chris Champion and someone, and Chris Champion, it almost looks like a shoot super kick right to Steiner's face. And, of all the guys to give you a receipt, Steiner just...
Oh, God, yeah. Was that when he was doing that Karate Kid stance bullshit, or was it a regular super? Yes. Yeah. And he got a couple of job guys with that, and then I think he got Steiner with that, and I don't think he got anybody else with that. And a lot of time, and that's the thing. If you got a reputation for being careless, you didn't often get a reputation for doing careless shit, because guys wouldn't cooperate much after the first once or twice or whatever. But if you just got a reputation for potatoing people, you would get potatoed back and or get your fucking notice. But now, once again, the difference in the business where guys don't even know what's needless potatoes, and they think they're proving their strong style, taking it for the business, fighting spirit, whatever, and they don't know what needless potatoes are versus the shit that's going to happen regardless. Because it ain't ballet and shit does happen. But they've started inventing their own moves and own stunts to the point where they're the established pros who knew what angle to come at, or what pocket to put it in, or what part of your body to have flexed and what have loose, or how to receive it as well as take it, regardless of what it is. Through trial and error, that wisdom is gone, and these guys have just invented a bunch of shit where if they don't get fucking hospitalized, they believe it's been a success. And their body looks like hamburger, or they're fucking limping all the time. And furniture does not work with you, so you have to know how to work around the furniture.
Would you say Kevin Von Erich was a reckless or dangerous worker?
Yes. No. Here's the thing. Kevin Von Erich was a reckless worker, but he was not a dangerous worker. Because and I'm not knocking Kevin, and he never potated me because I never had physical interaction with him. I managed a few times at ringside, but from the Midnight Express, from being in the locker room with Gino and Chris, most of the Von Erichs, but Kevin in particular, because they were so tough and they were so athletic, and they were just so fucking strong, and because of that style of wrestling there, it was built around the boys. And as Dennis Condrey used to say, working with the Von Erichs is like being in an easy street fight that you know you're not going to get hurt, but the other guy's still trying, because that was the way they worked. It was a fight. It was not as technical a wrestling product as Mid-Atlantic Wrestling or whatever. You were fighting the Von Erich boys. So they would come at you from different directions with shit you didn't know was coming, and you might get a fat lip or bloody nose. I saw Chris got – I think it was Kevin that barefoot drop kicked a chair that Chris Adams or Gino was coming one night at a spot show, and he drop kicked it, and boom, was supposed to go back and hit Gino, and that was the DQ. And he busted Gino open on the eyebrow, and it wasn't real bad, but nobody likes to get their eye busted open. And I'm sure Gino was going out that night, right? And he's back in the locker room in the fucking gym, where's the fucking mirror? What the fuck's he done to my face? But Gino was also making $150,000 a year.
Yeah.
But he wasn't happy at that point. But they weren't dangerous, because think about it. Everybody that worked with the Von Erichs, like I said, would get some bruises or fat lip or a bloody nose or whatever the fuck, but nobody had surgery. Nobody was picked up and dropped on their fucking head in a some kind of dangerous, fucking variation of the leaping tombstone spinning vertebreaker pile driver. Because it was basic rough wrestling shit and spots and fucking fighting. So reckless, yes, but dangerous, no. The guys wouldn't have been working on top back then if they were dangerous, because it would cost the promoters too much fucking money.
But even if a guy is perfectly safe working with other people at his level, what about guys who are reckless or dangerous with underneath guys, with jobbers? I mean, you've heard horror stories throughout the years about the Road Warriors or the Steiners or Buzz Sawyer. And to that point, are there any examples you've ever witnessed of where a guy took it too far with a job guy and it actually upset anyone in the locker room?
A lot of guys did not agree with. I always thought it was disrespectful, because it's not their fault they look like shit. It's not their fault they don't know what they're doing, and they're getting paid $50 to come up here and live their dream to be on TV, and their job is to fucking get you over. So why, that's I will say one thing. That's why the Midnight Express and I got with the guys, and I've paid attention to all of the guys that came in to do TV. So I kind of knew who could do something and who couldn't. But we always, even if they were just taking our moves, we made it a plain to, here's how you fucking grab on. Because number one, we wanted it to look as good as it could. And number two, we didn't want to hurt anybody. So we would walk them through it or show them where to go. And sometimes they didn't, to their peril. One guy, we said, stand straight up and face forward. That was what he had to do for the double goozle. And he fucking stood up sideways and crouched. So Bobby and Dennis almost turned him inside fucking out. But we didn't want to hurt anybody, and it would look better for us. So it was a win-win. But a lot of guys just wanted to throw the guys around and beat them up because they would look mean. And you mentioned some examples. And Buzz Sawyer was meaner with it. The Road Warriors just hit guys and didn't care, but it wasn't malicious. Buzz liked actually fucking with them.
What about Vader?
Vader didn't like fucking with him. He got a bad rep because he threw the one guy down and broke his back on the power bomb.
Joe Thurman.
But he was going to get it. Yeah, Joe Thurman. He was going to get over regardless, and that's what they were there for. And Leon also had that football mentality, and he's like, well, if they're here, then they need to fucking take it. It made me cringe a couple times when Yokozuna would bonsai the job guys, and it just looked like that could have really hurt that fucking guy. I would cringe, but I was not in charge. I was only in charge of me at that point, and he took care of me on the bonsai. So I don't like, but in some cases, I hate to say it, but some of these fucking guys that have really just froze up or just not been prepared to be in the ring should have looked in the fucking mirror and said, I'm not ready for this, because they got ass whipping in some cases that they deserved just for putting themselves in that position, because then you make both guys look stupid. But that's another reason why I always fucking, as we've talked about here on the program before, not only in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, but in the WWF and anywhere else that I booked guys in WCW, anywhere I booked guys to be on TV, I had either seen them or gotten a recommendation I trusted before I ever turned in a fucking name as far as this guy should be a wrestler on our television program. And I can't say that everybody else did that. So